It is Sunday, June 3rd, 2012. It also happens to be Flower Communion Sunday at the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Today is what I consider to be something of an official celebration of the 14th anniversary of my protest against the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry that I have encountered at the Unitarian Church of Montreal. Not to mention the anti-religious intolerance and bigotry that many other people encounter in all parts of the Unitarian Universalist religious community in North America, if not elsewhere in the world. There are other issues. The clergy misconduct of all kinds is, in my case, directly related because it was Reverend Ray Drennan who, amongst other leading members of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, falsely and maliciously labeled in a religious event that I'd organized as a cult, labeled me psychotic because I'm claiming a religious experience of considerable significance, and wrote off my religious beliefs as being nothing but silliness and fantasy. But today is actually something of another anniversary. On Friday, June 1st of this year, so just a few days ago, I received an email from the law firm Stikeman Elliott, the lawyer in question, Marc-André Coulombe, and I think I'll just read the letter so you can hear what it has to say. But basically, today is the first day of my protest, which I will deal with the contents of this letter. So here we go. The letter is addressed, it's from Stikeman Elliott to me. It's got Marc-André Coulombe's name on it, and it was sent to me by email. I have yet to receive the hard copy from a bailiff. This is a printout that I made, and it says RE Unitarian Universalist Association et al. Versus yourself. 1. Threatening and defamatory statements against the Unitarian Universalist Association. 2. Threatening and defamatory conduct amounting to sexual harassment against women Unitarian Universalist ministers. Our file, I'll leave the file number out of it for now. Sir, we are the Canadian attorneys from the Unitarian Universalist Association, in brackets, the association in quotation marks, and certain women ministers who are members of the association. Our clients have directed our attention to your blog entitled The Emerson of Andrew, and to other content posted by yourself on the internet which specifically targets the association and certain of its female ministers. While the laws of Quebec protect your freedom of expression, you have no right to threaten, defame, or harass people. Your web postings stating that a certain minister whom you name sucks and blows at the same time, and a certain other minister whom you also name has a sodomy fantasy, are libelous, defamatory, and given the frequency and repetitiousness of your postings on the subject, constitute acts of sexual harassment. Your postings of photographs of a female minister with the word bitch superimposed, and emailing ministers warning them not to mess around with you, and other statements are equally threatening, sexually harassing, and unprotected by any form of freedom of expression you may enjoy under Quebec law. Interesting, it doesn't mention Canadian law. Your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are similarly defamatory to an extent such that they constitute blasphemous libel, which is prohibited under Section 296 of the Criminal Code, RSC 1985, Section C 46-1. Accordingly, you are hereby put on notice to immediately A. Take down all web postings you have made concerning the association and its women ministers that are or could be considered sexually oriented and or defamatory. B. Cease and desist from posting on the internet defamatory or sexually oriented comments about the association and its women ministers. And C. Cease and desist from making threatening or sexually oriented comments to ministers orally and or in writing. In the interim, be advised that nothing in this letter is intended, nor should it be construed to constitute a waiver of any and all of the association's and its ministers' legal rights and remedies, all of which are hereby expressly reserved. And then in all caps letters, do govern yourself accordingly. Stikeman Elliott, LLP, Marc-André Coulombe, and a big signature here. So yeah, here's the letter. We're running fairly low resolution video here, so I don't expect it to be all that interesting, and perhaps I should make it read from left to right on the video. So this is the letter here, which I just read. And basically, this letter, it's obviously legal intimidation. And in fact, there are serious errors of fact in this letter. But not only that, the charge specifically of blasphemous libel makes no sense at all, really. I'll read it one more time, that specific section, because it's the most ridiculous part of this whole letter. It says, your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are similarly defamatory to an extent such that they constitute blasphemous libel, which is prohibited under section 296 of the Criminal Code. So essentially, the Unitarian Universalist Association, via the legal firm Stikeman Elliott, are accusing me of a crime, specifically the crime of blasphemous libel. And their grounds for accusing me of this crime is that I am alleging that certain ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association have engaged in pedophilia and rape. They're claiming that these vicious allegations, according to them, are unfounded. Well, I'm sorry, but the allegations are not unfounded by any means. And actually, one thing I'd like to point out, as far as pedophilia goes, to date, I have not actually accused a Unitarian Universalist minister of pedophilia. There are, in fact, some Unitarian Universalist ministers that are guilty of pedophilia and also rape. However, as far as pedophilia goes, to date, I have not actually brought that allegation against a Unitarian Universalist minister. As far as rape goes, there's only one Unitarian minister who I've publicly accused of rape. That does not mean to say that there aren't others that have committed rape, but the only minister who I have actually alleged committed rape was a minister who was actually charged with committing rape and found guilty and spent jail time. So how this could possibly be libelous is beyond me. I am telling the truth as reported by mainstream news publications, and even as reported in the sermon of a Unitarian Universalist minister. That's right, Unitarian Universalist minister Fred Small of the Cambridge Unitarian Universalist Church in the Boston area did publish a sermon which was posted to the internet, which spoke specifically about the minister who was guilty of raping Tibetan refugees who were minors. We're talking about Tibetan refugees who were living in India, who were invited to the parish of this minister. I have no qualms about naming him. His name was Reverend Mac Mitchell. He was the minister, if I'm not mistaken, of the Northborough Unitarian Universalist Church. And he invited these teenage Tibetan refugees from India, where they were living with their father, to America for a better life in America. He then proceeded to forcibly rape them repeatedly over a period of, I believe, some years before one of them escaped and had him charged with rape. So this is not libel by any means. This is an unfortunate fact. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that these charges were false, which they are not. They are still not grounds for charging me with the crime of blasphemous libel. That is another area of the law. Blasphemous libel is basically attacking a whole religion to an extent that it causes deep consternation to all of the believers. I'm not attacking the whole Unitarian Universalist religious community insofar as these allegations about ministers goes. I'm talking about specific acts of rape that were actually committed, and the minister was found guilty. So, you know, it is just totally ridiculous for the Unitarian Universalist Association to so much as suggest that I am guilty of blasphemous libel because I am criticizing sexual misconduct on the part of a few Unitarian ministers. And again, that does not mean to say there aren't other Unitarian ministers that have actually done these things that I have not yet spoken about. In fact, the matter is that there are some cases I'm aware of that I have not yet spoken about. So I'm afraid that far from silencing me here, this letter is actually going to encourage me to speak more and more openly about clergy sexual misconduct committed by Unitarian Universalists. On that note, we'll wind this up. I'd just like to remind everyone that this is Flower Communion Sunday at the Unitarian Church of Montreal. So it's really a special occasion, you know, just days after I received this letter. It happens to be Flower Communion. It's also the official 14th anniversary of my protest here, and it looks like it's going to be going on a little while thanks to the Unitarian Universalist Association escalating this conflict by sending me this bullshit.